What's up, y'all? It's attorney Terry Henderson Peden, the Law Group of THP, Parole Attorney TV. And today I want to break down the Alabama parole guidelines as they currently stand. They were revised July 13th of 2020. And they basically went back in there and added a little bit for protests. But anywho, we're going to go through all of those today. And in terms of where you can find this, I'll attach a link below. And in terms of if you want to look at it right now, I'm probably going to find a way to screen share this. But you know, sometimes you don't start off perfect. If you wait till you're perfect to start, you're never going to start shit. So I just went ahead and started, man. Sorry, excuse my language. I'm watching my language. Okay, but if you go to paroles.alabama.gov and you go on the resources tab and you click ABPP 2 parole guidelines, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. This isn't rocket science, y'all, but I want people to be empowered. I want inmates to be empowered. And I want, if you do hire an attorney, I want you to be able to make an informed decision. And a lot of things in prison and within the parole system can be done in an illegal manner, in an unconstitutional manner, in a very unfair and inhumane manner. Because they're done in secrecy. It's done in the dark, and you know, the stuff is public information, but people don't know where to read, or sometimes they want to have things explained to them. So that's my job, right? Is to advocate for you and to make sure that I know what I'm talking about and make sure that you're informed and know what's going on in general. So with that said, let's get in these daggone parole guidelines, right? So each one of these metrics that we're going to go through will produce a score. And at the end of the assessment, at the end of the guidelines, you're going to have a score from 0 up to, can't remember exactly how many points it is. I can go right here and add it up, but it's a lot of points, maybe like 19 points or something, right? And if your score is from 0 to 7, that is supposed to suggest to the parole board that parole should be granted in this case. And if your score is higher than, if your score is 8 or higher, so 0 to 7 suggests parole be granted. If your score is 8 or above, that suggests that parole should be denied, right? So a lot of times people think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter this, that, or third. And I understand that people become discouraged, but it does matter. If you want to hire an attorney and you want that attorney to go fight for you, you know what I'm saying? You got to do your part too, right? And we'll handle everything we can, work with your family and get y'all prepared and get your plans and stuff together. But a lot of these things that we're going to go through here don't have anything to do with the attorney or your family on the outside. It's about you making decisions to, you know, live differently and get down with the program. You know what I'm saying? So another big point to make is that these guidelines are mere suggestions to the board of what the board should do, right? These are not guidelines that if the board doesn't follow just in one specific case that you have a right to sue on, right? You don't have a liberty interest in parole if you haven't been released already. So it's just a matter of are the decisions for parole being made in an arbitrary and capricious manner, meaning totally unfair for some type of bias or prejudice or personal gain or, you know, some type of other agenda that is not in tune and in line with the metrics and guidelines set out for parole. And we'll get into that as well. But I'm going to jump into the statute because I really want y'all to understand where these laws and codes and things come from so that, again, everybody can be empowered. There are 6 different criteria here. And again, our main point is we're trying to get your score up underneath 7 points, man. 7 or lower, that should go to get you home, all right? So first things first, severity of offense, right? They're gonna look at your most severe conviction that you're serving time for right now, meaning if you're serving 3 cases that are all running CC and you got a burglary third, you got a possession of controlled substance, and you got a robbery, first degree robbery, aggravated robbery, that aggravated robbery is what they're going to use in this metric right here. Now, I haven't been able to find parole's offense severity chart, but I have been able to get access to Department of Corrections classification offense severity, right? So parole is going to look at certain offenses, high severity or low severity, and also Department of Corrections. Now, if those things are different, I don't know. But again, I only have the ones from Department of Corrections. So if anybody has the drop or know about that other thing, okay. So offense severity, low, moderate, or high. If it's low severity, you get +0 points. Moderate, +1 point. High, +2 points, right? And again, they're only looking at that most severe one. Our goal again, overall, up underneath 7 points. So low, I see low severity like dope cases, possession cases, robbery thirds. And that's why it's very important for your attorney to know the facts of your case, right? And you got to be honest. Don't come with all that BS because they got their story. So now I need the story. I need the truth, right? I need the supporting documents. I need transcript. We might need a whole bunch of stuff, right? But low severity, +0, moderate. You're looking at, I'd say high is whenever you're looking at violent crimes, where you're looking at serious bodily injury, sex offenses, people losing lives. That's high, right? Anything below that, we're looking at moderate or low. And then that's, again, upon the attorney knowing the facts and just making mitigating arguments to bring that down and put context on it, right? So then you get a score there. Next is the Ohio Risk Assessment. I'm going to break down the whole Ohio Risk Assessment as I've been able to find it. Also, you can go on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and search Ohio Risk Assessment, you can find multiple lectures by the guy, Edward Latessa, who created the Ohio Risk Assessment. And I think he from University of Cincinnati up in Ohio. So yeah, you can find him. And as far as how I see it, I think that the current parole board as it is today in 2022 is not properly using and is intentionally misusing, abusing the Ohio Risk Assessment in a way to justify what they're doing. And we're going to get into that too. You heard me? So anywho, Ohio Risk Assessment, you go through that. It's a series of questions. It produces a score for you. And then that score within that system is going to say whether they feel like you're a low risk for reoffending, moderate risk, a high, or a very high risk, right? We would take that score and then bring it back to the guidelines and plug it in here. So what you see on the guidelines is if you're a low risk on the ORAS, that's what I'm gonna call it, ORAS. If you're a low risk on the ORAS, you get 0 points added to your guideline score. Moderate risk, +2. High risk, +3. Very high risk, +5. Okay, very high risk, you might not be worried about coming home, man. You might like that penitentiary life, man. Okay, man. All right. They want to know Ohio risk score, the date it was administered, and then the version used. So within the Ohio Risk Assessment, there are multiple different tools and components to it, right? So they have one which is like a intake. So is this for a prison system? They would use the intake version of Ohio Risk Assessment to see is this person, should they be classified in closed custody, medium custody, work release, you know what I mean? Then they got other ones for like community supervision. So if they're gonna do deferred adjudication or some type of drug court program or color code or something like that, to see what level of supervision that person should be under, right? So in this case, we're using the Ohio Risk Assessment Reentry Tool, aka ORAS/RT. Again, all this stuff is on the internet, man. I got some stories to tell y'all about the parole hearings in Alabama, and I just want to lace y'all up on how it is and let y'all know like really what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Okay, bada bing, bada boom. So anyway, you go through the ORAS, I put you through that, interview my client, get them real laced up, figure out what's going on. And then boom, I'm gonna come back, put that score there. We keep going. The next part, institutional behavior. So now we're looking at your disciplinary conduct. A lot of people, man, they don't care nothing about no disciplinary, man. It's just a cell phone. That's a big deal. You You know what I'm saying? You never know how things gonna change. You never know who's gonna be in there. You might be back in front of a fair parole panel sooner than you think. You know what I'm saying? And with that said, that disciplinary does matter. And every time I went to a parole hearing in Alabama, the victims advocates stand up and they're gonna mention your disciplinary history. Now, how the victims advocate get access to your disciplinary history, I don't even know if that's legal, right? I really don't. But I don't think it's legal. It be so many battles to fight. It's like you gotta pick your battles a little wisely. And my mouth a little dry too. So if I'm over here looking cotton mouth, it's because I am. But I can't stop. Okay. So anywho, you got disciplinary right here. They're gonna look at in the last 12 months. Now again, these parole guidelines are mere suggestions. And they're really good for helping an attorney form their argument for why you should make parole, right? But while it says 12 months here, again, I've seen him stand up. Yeah, he hadn't done nothing in the last 2 years, but in his whole 25-year sentence, he's got 15 disciplinary cases. And he got an indecent exposure case. He got a cell phone case. He got a stabbing case. He got a possession of a knife case. You know what I mean? Paraphernalia and things. So just know that they are looking at it and it is a factor. So do what you're supposed to do so that they got limited ammunition to fire back at you besides your conviction. You know what I'm saying? At this point, we're not even talking about everything. We're just talking about, you know, who are you since you've been in the prison? And it looks a lot better when you got no disciplinaries, right? Or very limited. So within the last 12 months is how they're going to score these. If they say you got 0 cases in the last 12 months, then you got 0 points added to your guideline score. Again, we're trying to keep that thing up underneath 7 points overall. If you got 1 nonviolent case in the last 12 months, they add 1 point. If you got 1 violent case in the last 12 months, add 2 points. Here's the kicker. If you got 2 violent cases, and again, if this is you got to be real with your family and be real. Like, if you got 2 violent disciplinaries in the last 12 months, they're going to add 5 points to your score. That pretty much wipes you out the game. It's going to be real hard to wiggle past that. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, and again, with this is kind of similar to your offense severity. They're only looking at your most severe disciplinary case. You know what I mean? So, anywho, this is what we're talking about right here. Let me see. The next category you got is your treatment. So, you got to get your ITP, get with education, and get your ITP classification. And you're going to look at that and see what needs do you have. It's safe bet is to take every program you can, right? I'm not going to tell you only take these programs. No, you need to make it clear that you are 100% committed to changing yourself for the better so that prison is not in your future. You know what I'm saying? So every program. But the programs that you're getting points for in the state of Alabama are only the programs which they have recommended for you. And a lot of the biblical seminary and all of those type of classes or other type of classes that are not in these ones that we're going to go through, they're good. But if you have a bunch of those and you don't have these ones that we're about to enumerate, then that's not beneficial, right? So I need you to get your tail in these programs. You know what I'm saying? Thinking for a change. Residential substance abuse, Alabama Therapeutic Education Facility, ATF, intensive outpatient substance abuse program, cognitive behavior, anger management. If you've been robbing shit, all of y'all, anger management, stress management, plus these listed here, and all of the other major programs that you can. in addition to every other program offered. But within that, you need to get those main ones. And if you can't, and I've seen this work, I worked this for a guy. He didn't have all the programs right then and there. So I suggested he goes to what's called MRT, which is moral recognition therapy, right? Which is like a parole vote to send you somewhere where you can continue to take programs and you know, be involved. So if you completed all your required programs, 0 points are added to your guideline score. If you had deficient programs but reasonable efforts made, 0 points added to your guidelines. Now, what does that mean? Reasonable efforts made. That doesn't mean getting kicked out of a program. That doesn't mean not signing up. Specifically, and again, I'm just going from what I'm holding them to their own word. You know, that's it. So reasonable effort made means being currently enrolled on a waiting list, or if you're in an institution with no available required programming, or you have no time to complete the programming before you EOS, right? So what's unacceptable, which is the next sentence, I ain't even got to think about what I'm going to say. I'm just going to read from right here. What's unacceptable is declining or refusing the program or being terminated, right? So if you go to Life Tech, but then you keep getting kicked out of Life Tech, that's a negative against you. That's not a positive. Oh, I went to Life Tech, but I got kicked out. You might as well not even talk about it. Okay. So if you got deficient program with reasonable efforts, 0. If you got deficient program, no reasonable efforts, plus 2 points are added to your guidelines. And if you got deficient programs, unacceptable compliance, that's plus 3. Woo. Yeah, you get kicked out, decline or refuse, plus 3 on your tail, okay? Now, reentry progress. This is where your family and your attorney come into play, because everybody said, oh man, it don't matter about this, that, and the third, it don't matter. Support letters, that could be a topic for another time. I think support letters do help because it shows that people took time. A lot of people don't take time to write a letter. They won't take 5 minutes. Excuse me. So if you got 10, 15 people willing to do that and show that they actually care enough to voice their opinion and commit that time to it, it does help. But specifically here, they looking at your reentry plan from the perspective of home situation. Is that finalized and up to par and compliant? They're going to look at your job. How are you going to support yourself? Income. They already got you taken care of if you in the prison. So in terms of releasing somebody back to a situation where they're destitute and don't have any support, that's not really a good thing. That's not good for any state, right? So I'm not saying they shouldn't release you. I'm just saying in terms of a person being homeless opens up a lot of opportunities for that person to have to resort to some criminal, okay? So they're going to look at home, job, and also treatment, whether that be anger management or whether that be drug programs or alcohol, AA, NA, X, Y, and Z. So with the attorney and your family, we work together and put your plan together, right? And then lastly is, so no reentry plan, plus 2 points. Reentry plan and development, plus 1 point. Complete release plan, plus 0. Okay, so we're going for this plus 0 because I'm trying to keep your score as low as possible, right? So all of that, we got your home, a job, we got your treatment set up. And then lastly is the stakeholder from the community. If you hire me, you're going to have support. But in Alabama, you're pretty much going to get an automatic protest, especially since Jimmy Spencer. Another topic for another time, right? But if you got pure opposition, no support, plus 2 points. If you got neutral, meaning you got support and you got opposition, plus 1 point. And if it's pure support, that's plus 0. So if you can get support letters from the victim of your crime or from the DA or something like that, then that'll get you 0 points. But usually you're gonna have automatic protest and you're gonna have automatic support. So with that said, it's gonna balance you out at 1 point. Now we will go back through it again through all of these factors, looking at severity of the offense. We would look at Ohio risk assessment, institutional behavior, programming, your reentry plan, and then opposition or support from the community and stakeholders. We add up all of those categories, and it's going to give you a score from 0 to 19, 20 points, right? And whatever you get there is going to be, according to these guidelines, used or should be used by the parole board as some type of metric and objectifiable and consistent standard of whether or not this person presents a danger to the public. So anything outside of that, whether it be positive or negative, should be what pushes that needle. And that's my job, and that's our job at the Law Group of THP, to push that needle. So that's it. That's what the parole guidelines are. It's not rocket science, pretty straightforward. I won't take up too much of your time. I hope this has been helpful and insightful information. If you have any questions, concerns, you're looking for representation for a loved one dealing with parole, give me a call, give us a call, the Law Group of THP, 334-544-9471. If you're an inmate, you can write us, the Law Group of THP, P.O. Box 1410, Houston, Texas 77004. Again, right now we're currently serving Texas and Alabama, but we got some tricks up our sleeve. Holla at me. God bless y'all. Peace.